Hey, pirates, we are live. It's Battle Pirates Hangout in the Crib. I am the BP professor, and I'm on tonight with Hefe.
Hello, Professor, and everybody else that's decided to join us.
Yep. Probably be just us two tonight. So tonight we have Zoe versus Harlock Part 2. Last week when I wasn't around, Hefe laid down the gauntlet. Who is hotter, Zoe or Harlock? I'll say he did a good job, but you know, uh, uh, it is what it is. I think I made the most of what I had to work with. So
I, I think I
uh,
took the correct strategical decision on that one.
maybe we'll see by the end of the show.
Okay.
Um, okay, so I will share the slides and we'll get going. Hey, yeah, we're going to talk about subs too. So the actual Battle Pirate stuff, and so that'll be good. So, Zoe versus Harlock. First of all, people love pointing this out when Kixeye is not original. So, Space Pirate Captain Harlock is like a thing in anime. So, there you go, Captain Harlock, not Captain Harlock. And moving on, we'll talk about the release. So, two bug fixes this week. Issue on Facebook that prevented sending Merc fleets and resource gifts because everybody needs Merc fleets and resources. So good for Kixeye. And a ship with remote targeting would not fire on targets if it was fully equipped with switchblades. This one confuses me because I thought switchblades didn't fire missiles in remote targeting anyway.
Well, it's not supposed to fire in the secondary mode, which is the missiles. I'm. I mean, I've always thrown a Harrier on those, so I'm not completely certain what they're trying to do there.
Oh, maybe it wouldn't fire at all? Like even if it was in range?
Yeah, I wish they would expand from bullets to something more expansive to explain things.
Yeah. Hey, is that you, Tito, joining us? We have another BPC joiner and then leaver. I'm going to guess it's Tito. Anyway, anyway, if somebody was having that problem, apparently it's been fixed. So good for you. Do we have you now, Tito?
Hi. Yeah, I got some issues to get in. I got to rejoin a few times.
All right.
Hi,
Well,
everybody.
Hey, Tito.
welcome. Welcome. All right, let's keep rolling. Changes. So the other change, they added the D5 CT armor to the Forsaken mission this week. Last week they added the D2 through D4, and it was it was graded. It was 8%, 9%, and 10% defense, which I wasn't too impressed with. D5 is 18%, which is pretty good if you need to defend against concussive.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm still slightly disappointed that we didn't get the pure deflection armor that they promised us in the June work in progress, but
Agreed.
it's an improvement. And I've also heard that the build time on these is not is much less than the other D5 armors. I think it's more in line with the D5E armor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this last one it's about 21 hours, something around that.
Okay, that's pretty good. I got Huggies in another window. I can pull it up real quick. But anyway, so it's got good concussive defense if you need it, and then it's got the 20 assault and 20 siege deflection. And I mean the big use for this one, all the CT armor. I was thinking base guard. I don't know what else you'd use this for right now.
Base guard, or maybe in the next raid, for those that don't have subs, to have something with high deflection, assault deflection especially, and put this to make it last longer, like while the rest of your ships try to kill those that go to lure the first one, or if you don't have a full fleet of subs, or you don't have the Tiger Shark or the Phantom Nighthawk or stuff like that. something to lure the other ones on one point, so you can get less problem if you are diving and stuff like that. Maybe.
Maybe if you really load up on this, you can get a pretty high defense.
Yeah, because I don't think that those I don't think that the new targets that are projected for September actually do concussive damage. They take concussive damage.
No,
I don't know.
no.
Actually, they do, because the Gatling gun they have is the one that were on the scouts. Actually, is concussive damage that is doing.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Which is another reason I was kind of obsessed with the V2H idea, because those do have concussive defense built in. And then also, so changes to the mission prizes. They added this in to Tier 5. It's in, I guess, 4th place, I checked. So 3rd is the ATR now. 1st and 2nd were the Judgment Mortar and the...
Explosive System 4?
No, the thing for your outpost. The Overload EMP thingy, whatever it's called.
I don't think we have the same Tier 5 as... I think me and Tito have a different Tier 5 than you do,
Really?
Professor.
I don't know. You first have the two for the Foundry, that are the Explosive System 4 and also the Judgment Mortar. And then it's the new Transformer that they added now, and also the CT5, or I don't know what we call it.
Okay. All right. My bad. I thought that thing for your outpost was still on there.
And the one that overloads, I think, is in Tier 4.
Okay.
Yeah, but they did do a massive scramble this week as far as pushing the shards further back into Oblivion. Is probably, I think most of the players think they should be.
Right. So yeah. So there's the 4 actual prizes, then the 6 shards, and then the tokens. So I don't know. I was just, since I didn't do Tier 5 until after the raid, I was still I'm still on the hook for shards after I finish this and the
I think,
ATR.
according to Tom Brewster, this could be the last Forsaken mission with those shards, because in July they are supposed to get out.
Okay. Yeah. I was a little, actually I mentioned a little later that it was supposed to be gone, and it's not gone, but I guess it's not July yet. So. All right, we'll see.
Well, I think more precisely, he stated that they would be gone after this cycle. We'll see. I did a little cut and paste and inserted his actual words a little bit later on, so we can see.
Yep. All right. I mean, we can bitch about the shards, but I don't think there's much point. Nobody wants 10 shards of those 250 shard hulls. Right?
Well, personally, I think that the only shards that people are looking at, especially the ones that are not there, especially the Gamma, maybe would be more appreciated to be there, especially because many people have like 5, 6, 7, and the Ghost Crawler. I think are the two more interesting to the people.
Yeah, and those aren't there. Right. I have 195 Ghost Crawler shards, and I still have 195 Ghost Crawler shards.
Besides, I was not in playing, but for what I have heard, the shards was supposed to be something added, but not something you must do, and now it's must do if you want to get to those tokens at the end.
Yep.
So that's what I think is making people get more annoyed with them, especially with 2 cycles. Maybe 1 cycle, but 2 cycles of them, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, right, because, I didn't want to bitch about this, but so I gave Kixeye a break. I thought they rolled out the Forsaken mission nicely when they were doing it slowly, where they mixed the targets, and you didn't really have to do Tier 5 because it was just paying the shards. But now, if you didn't collect those shards, last month, now you're not getting tokens, you're getting the shards. So, players like me who were taking that month to kind of transition to the new targets and maybe not doing tier 5, although by now I'm doing tier 5, are not getting build tokens. So, all right, I didn't want to bitch about this. Do we have anything else to say besides more bitching?
No.
All right, let's move on. All right, so this is Captain Herlock, who is a good friend of Captain Harlock, and so yeah, I think she's all right. So let's talk about the closed preview server, which ended about a little more than an hour ago. I was not on the closed preview server. I was working.
I wasn't, and I was trying to see if any of those that normally do some sort of stream or a live were doing it, but I couldn't find any of them doing it.
So
I think there was a gag order on this one.
yes, they were very insistent that do not stream, do not
Okay.
share, and if you do, you'll be in big trouble. So Renato from the Forsaken Council did give some kind of very vague info on the TFC page, basically saying service ships didn't do well, Tiger Sharks with Scourge torpedoes did. But that's really about all we know. But we should probably go through what the changes were on this preview server. So again, it was a closed test server, and some people were kind of pissed about, oh, closed and blah blah blah, what good is it if people can't see it? But I think Kixeye was really just trying to get data from a few people, and definitely very preliminary, and if people were drawing conclusions from these targets, I think they would change a lot, or could change a lot. So really, I think I don't think we're missing out on much by not seeing the target, because everything is subject to change. Anyway,
Personally, I talked a little bit about the little bit before the show as far as what the test conditions were, because I don't, we both agreed that, the test server situation isn't probably the best way to deal with the second red block.
yeah. So right. So there's some changes to the subs that they're testing out. So the first one is this 100% repair modifier for all subs, and we need to be careful on that one, because it's not necessarily meaning that a sub's repair time goes down. What they may end up doing is change the repair modifier to 100%, but keep the repair time for the base hull the same. And what that means is that, so, a CUDA with 600 health is still going to take a half hour to repair, but when you add armor to that CUDA, the repair time of the armor isn't going to be multiplied by 3 as well. It's just going to be the regular repair time for the armor.
Don't you think that gets pretty complicated?
Yeah, but
Okay. Just throwing that in there. If we're parsing all these things into separate categories.
So you are asking if they are going to be able to manage to do that? Because I have my doubts. I guess that is going to become trouble, and again, repairing and stopping for making a fast repair to something else and getting back to repair that thing with adding time and stuff like that. So, but well, time will show us.
yeah, it does. So the idea there is that it lets you add armor to subs without being punished so badly, and that's all right, I guess. And what you can do in terms of, if this really happens, is if you want to bring down say the average repair time per damage for your subs, adding cadmium will really pay off in that event, because you'll be averaging that like 300% repair for the hull health, with the 50% repair or 40% repair from cadmium. So that's something.
Yeah, but it's most of the time, if probably from what I saw in the 123 preview that we saw during BXP weekend, either you get caught or you don't get caught.
Well, so I did 2 of those targets with my subs, and both
Okay.
times but even if I didn't get caught, but
Hmm.
the damage I took was you took damage when the ships explode. So I took
Yeah.
like an hour and a half or 2 hours of damage. And so if I had cadmium on those subs, that fixed amount of damage would be quicker to repair.
And that damage from the data miner was explosive mixed with radiation.
Okay.
So I mean, I think you wrote a post. Was it you that wrote a post that as far as the payoff on the Scourge armor, as far as the reduced repair time versus the resistances that it provided?
Yeah. Yeah, that was way back when it first came out. It definitely wasn't worth it because the uh, repair time reduction when you get averaged in wasn't worth giving up the evade or the damage resistance. But in this case, if your sub has a 3x repair modifier, you're going to get a lot more benefit in terms of your average repair time if you do the cadmium. But but if you combine it with that last one, the 100% health to launch, okay,
Hmm.
um, then you're sort of taking a risk, right? Because if you do get caught and lose your sub, if you screw up somehow, or you lag out or something like that, because that never happens, then it is going to be more coins to repair your subs if you add armor, because it will be longer. So you are taking that risk if you add cadmium even. So that's that. Now the other thing that they said they're doing is adding skirmish hulls to the Foundry, and I think we're all pretty convinced that it's going to be the subs that go to the Foundry. I looked at the skirmish hull list in one of my last BB Prof posts, and it didn't seem like there are any other hulls that really were at a tier that would make sense to add to the Foundry. Stuff like battleships or anything like that. It's just
Battle cruisers, BCX, yeah.
yeah, it's just not going to happen. So that's gonna. I think we ought to go to the next chart. Wait. Okay, we're gonna skip a chart. We'll go back. Um,
Okay.
so skirmish hulls to the Foundry. Um, next month. Well, month and a half. I don't know. August. And what's gonna happen, right? Is probably the thing that has happened before. Um, all your Foundry hull, all the hulls that end up in the Foundry are going to get bumped up to the max retrofit level. So if you've got a sub fleet that you're thinking about retrofitting the hull, it's probably a bad idea because it'll get done automatically for you in a month or so. So don't waste the uranium and the retrofit time. The other thing that we will expect to see when those hulls go to the Foundry is we are going to expect some build time reductions and for the hulls, and hopefully the thing that really needs build time reduction is the weapons, the Scourge Torps in particular.
Yeah, definitely.
So Hefe, you put together this build, and I mean it's a pretty basic but decent CUDA build.
Yeah, I more put it together just to introduce the idea that we're gonna upgrade skirmish hulls, and then potentially people that don't have tiger sharks. And I'm not even actually sure that the Kudas are worse than the Nighthawks. because of some of the speed, and we're going to get automatically sent to R10 on these, because as you see, we're with a build like this, you're getting pretty close to 40 combat speed, and you're doing a fair amount of damage over time. The reason I didn't really put it out there as a build slide is the fact that you may have that haul, but you don't have this technology if you're starting out, because it's Magnus 2, it's interceptor system, it's sticks torpedoes, but one potential use for it is if they're going to require 100% repair, it might be beneficial for mid to higher level players to, if you have plenty of time in your shipyard, which nobody does, to refit, that at this point you could provide something that's going to get you some points in the raid while your tiger sharks are healing up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Cuda right now is a half hour to repair each, I think. Tiger Shark is probably longer. I do have Huggies up. In fact, I'm going to bring up Huggies. Because the problem with that Tiger Shark build, I mean that Cuda build, I mean it's a decent build, but it is a 14-day build, and big part of that is the
sticks torpedoes.
Sticks torpedoes.
Yeah, those nearly take 2 days to build it, which is crazy.
Right. So this actually is an alternative that if you just want to get a ship in the water, if you want to build Tigers and you want to get them in the water and you want to start ranking, you could do this build, and it's a little bit under a week. So it's Tiger, it's Speed 5, Battery, Cat, and then 10 Vortex Zs. These build really quick, and because the Tiger Shark has that built-in DPS, they actually do a fair amount of damage. And this is what I did when I built my Tigers. I built 4 like this, just got them ranking, and then I refit to put sticks and interception system on them. A little bit of stealth, but if you just want to get them in the water and get started, you can do this, and then hopefully the torpedo times will come down and you can refit the good torps on. So this is maybe another option for you. Okay. Go back to the slide. But I think the point is, the thing that we really want to talk about is, I know some players are saying, I don't have subs, I don't like subs, screw subs, I'll just sit out this raid cycle. And there's a problem with that. Which the problem is that after a raid cycle, these Kixeye has said these targets are going to end up somewhere in the game.
Yeah, but not as for Forsaken mission, because many people think that after a raid ends, that target becomes a new Forsaken mission. And for what I have heard, till next year, we are not going to see any change on the Forsaken mission. So for those that think that they have to build subs because it's the next Forsaken mission target, I'm sorry, but they are wrong at the moment.
I don't think it's the next Forsaken mission target. The current armadas, Draconian armadas, are skirmish targets, even though nobody uses that any of the skirmish hulls to attack them. But based on what GD Rankin has said in the past, and the positioning of this this target upcoming, it seems more likely this is going to be potentially the new armada.
Yeah,
as far as gaining. Yeah, the way to get uranium. So you could go one way or the other. And the other thing that we haven't really talked about is the fact that the 123 target, and probably we haven't heard anything about the closed preview, is that's the highest level. That's the, that's, I don't know if it's considered like the S target or it's like an A target, but what we saw with the 123 isn't what the, somebody that was hitting the B tiers last time is probably going to see, and it's probably not what we're going to see associated with like a level 60 Armada target in the future. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't get discouraged by seeing the 123s like, oh my goodness, we gotta, if you screw up a little bit, you're you're screwed. But I don't know. It's all projections based on the past and what could happen in the future.
Yeah. I just think, I think the lesson is, if you have no subfleet, or if you think you don't have a worthwhile subfleet, you might want to rethink that. And I think probably the two best ways to go would be Kudas, if you want to get something quick, or Tiger Sharks if you have them. I would think about, very seriously think about getting moving on one or the other. Maybe you're still building Apollos from the last raid, and I understand why you'd want to keep, stick with it and finish your fleet. But I think players really ought to think about a sub fleet of some sort, and because, go ahead.
I, Based on what you said, my question is, I mean, I think you know the answer, or I don't know. I never built Nighthawks, but why did you skip over the Nighthawks?
So Nighthawks have 3 specials, Kudas have 3 specials. Kudas
Mm-hmm.
R10 have the nice weight bonus, and they have the nice um, dive time bonus. So you're going to get, I think an R10, with what we know today. All right, and yeah, I skipped over the Nighthawks. With what we know today, a Kuda's going to build faster and be almost as good as a Nighthawk. Once they get in the Foundry, then maybe the Nighthawk will get some buffs. I'm guessing it'll get some DPS buffs that the Kuda might not get, or might get a lot lower DPS buffs. So once the Foundry shows up, then my suggestion might change. But today, if you're going to start a subfleet today, I think it would be Kudas or Tigers.
I completely agree. I was just, I just wanted you to explain a little bit.
Fair enough.
Well, a lot of people are probably, I have 10 Nighthawks. What am I supposed to do with them?
Well, if you have Nighthawks, I maybe look at a refit, or maybe wait until they show up in the Foundry and then try a refit, because then you might be able to get Scourge Torps on there for less. So if you have Nighthawks built and not Tigers, I would just wait, I think.
Or if you have them built and we don't know what's going to happen in the future, if you have some downtime, again, I keep on bringing this up, but if you have some downtime in your shipyard and you don't use them anymore because you're using your Tiger Sharks all the time, maybe strip some stuff out. Because a
Well,
lot of the,
okay.
I mean, I could see the other point because potentially they're going to lower the build times and therefore the strip out times on some of these torpedoes and whatnot that people may already have on them. But I'm just saying that you sort of have a head start if you're not using your Nighthawks to refitting them in the future. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a priority. I'm just saying if you've got some downtime and you're not
Yeah.
using them.
Or maybe even, like, if you, I don't even remember when Nighthawks came out in relation to engines, but if you don't have Speed System 5 on them, let's say you have Speed 3 or something
When
like
they
that.
came, there was only a Speed System 3, Strike System, and Magnus, and also the River engine. That one that was short in your range as well.
Right. So maybe, just refit Nighthawks with speed 5.
Speed 5 over Magnus 2. Magnus 2 is a faster.
Yeah, but
It's a
it's more easy
faster
that
engine.
people has the Speed 5 rather than the Magnus 5 too.
Well, yeah, or, Nighthawks had really bad turn, as I recall. I never built Nighthawks, but
Wow, I didn't realize we had that in common after all this time.
I did Kudas, I did Spectres, and I did Tigers. I never built Nighthawks.
I think I still have like 16 Spectres, but yeah, I never built Nighthawks.
I have about 6 Spectres. I have 4 that were like a fleet, and then 2 decoys. I scrapped a couple recently.
Yeah, I even have like Kudas with D35S.
I refit I refit my Kudas with Deluge,
Okay.
and I never used them with Deluge. They still suck.
No, but back in the day, you could get to the back of a base with D35S Kudas and take out an outpost just using a couple of Kudas because they were so fast and there was no defenses against them at that point. You didn't have, you know, it was, if somebody didn't have a battle cruiser with enhanced sonar, you could just go all the way to the back of somebody's base and then just pop up, move around a little bit because their victory motors were just firing everywhere and they weren't going to hit you.
When the Kudas came out, there were no such things. I think that just the 4 first of each sector were able to get the battle cruise, and that was a minority. So it was very easy with the D35S, the siege cannon that has such an amazing build time now to get to the back and just blow it and put 4 of those. Well, now it's Citadel. At that time was the floating fortress, so just hit the outpost and take a lot of resources because people was sitting all the warehouses in the island, and well, we're getting people very mad doing that.
Yeah, and also this was before you had patrol fleets, I think. I don't think we had patrol fleets at that point when I was doing that. But it was fun. It was amusing to do.
Well, we've now proven that we are all old farts in this game.
Yes.
Anyway, for those of you watching on chat, if you have other sub questions or thoughts, what to do with subs, maybe that'd be a good thing to post in chat. Maybe we'll come back to it a little later in the show. But let's move on from this. I think I want to go to your previous slide there. Hefe, thanks for doing some of the slides this week, by the way.
No problem.
We wanted to talk about the Forsaken Mission tokens because they changed, and you got to be careful. So you get tokens now on tier 4 and on tier 5. Okay, so tier 4 you get the 2-day build, and then tier 5 you get the 2-day plus your bonus, which is either a 1 or a 3-day still, I think. So you got to be careful because you can only hold 1 2-day token still, I think. I don't know, has anybody checked?
How did your ticket work out?
Oh, from way back when?
Yeah, like a month ago.
Yeah, they did give me the token. I screwed up and did it the second time without spending my first set. That was on me, and I was hesitant to put in the ticket, and somebody pushed me to do it. And they did hook me up with the token that I should have gotten, but I wouldn't try and do that every week. They keep a record of your tickets.
Yeah.
So anyway, so if you get a token at tier 4 and you don't spend it, you might lose it when you get it for tier 5, and you don't want that to happen. So you really want to spend that 2-day token after you finish tier 4, but before you get tier 5. Now, I know I wasn't in that situation this week because I'm still getting stuff on tier 5, but you got to be careful not to lose your tokens.
Yeah, I put this table together before they did their newest change today, So my table might be off by a day or two since they moved. We didn't talk about that yet, as far as the fact. No, we did. As far as how they moved around the shards versus the tokens, and now
Oh
there's
yeah.
extra BP. There's extra BPs. So you know, the original reason I put the slide together was basically to show that we're getting a lot more tokens than we were before. And I look at the forums and people are complaining, but I understand. I'm assuming it's mostly people that aren't getting to tier 5. But at the end of the day, we're people who just do tier 4.
I mean, even if you lose a whole fleet doing a 107, right? I mean, you do that once, and you do the first 4 tiers of the mission. Bam, you have a 2-day token. At least once you're done on tier 4. I mean, that's one target. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I've been working with some people that left the game, came back with the game, and
Tito?
they're having a hard time. Not Tito, but other people. but they're having a hard time killing in a 107 in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And so that basically drags that out quite a bit, and so they don't get to that level. You don't they don't get to 73 million for killing it, and then next day killing it again for 73 million, and they don't get to that point.
All
But
right. Yeah. Fair enough.
but but they are finding ways to do it. I mean, there's little crafty ways to deal with the tier 5 as long as they're available.
Well, so what are you recommending to some of these players that are just coming back? What kind of fleets or what
Well, I can
targets?
tell you what I do is, at the moment, I team with somebody that has the Punisher fleet because it's one of the best one. So they do the top and the bottom for them, and then help me using one of those Punishers to tank for me, and I just go killing behind that Punisher, and I am able to do tier 4 each week twice. So it's a way to catch up
Okay. Yeah.
till you wait for the whole store in August and wait to get your own fleet of Punishers, or you finish your fleet of Apollos. I have seen people using them, Apollos with launchers or Apollos with the switchblades or even the blades. If you get to collect during the week after you finish that some of those small pinches, so you can pinch each of the clusters, and you can do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The lower your rank on those ships, the bigger will have to be the pinch you use. But when you get to legendary, you don't even need to pinch, unless you go on your own and are pinching the arc missiles to get less damage.
Yeah.
Unless you just like to pinch.
I like pinching.
Well, if instead of go pinching, just go and coining the damage, well, that's your option. Kixai loves that you go coining.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying I like to
We'll,
pinch, but whatever.
we'll
It's a
send you
whole
one of
different
those
story.
Who wants to
rewards,
pinch?
no?
There she
Coiner of
is.
the
Yeah.
month, something like that.
Pinch her lock. All right. I did a few more slides on torpedoes, and I think with the subs coming back, um, players are really kind of asking again, sticks versus Charin and all that. So I put this slide up, and or I put this chart together, showing this is the DPS per weight versus range. And this is on a Tiger Shark at legendary rank, 40% of 8 target. Probably doesn't matter quite so much the rank and the evade. It just kind of, in terms of the stuff relative to each other, because all these things are salvo 1, and he's got like really high accuracy or anything. But so so here's what's interesting, and this takes into account the dot damage from the sticks. The Charn and the sticks are really close in terms of damage per weight, okay? But what you got to remember is that subs usually aren't max weight, although I guess with these charms and sticks they can be. But sometimes you got to look at the absolute damage. And then, Vortex Z is really good damage per weight, but you're never going to fill up a sub with Vortex Zs because they're so light. So I went to the next page. And again with Captain Herlock. So, you know. Anyway, so I just plotted absolute DPS per sub or per torpedo. So you can see per torpedo, one Styx is going to hit a lot harder than one Charin. And then, you got Siege Z, but those are short range. You got the Assault B down here. Vortex Z is this one kind of in the back, and these other assaults, the shorter range assaults and the Havocs, all kind of less damage. So that's where the other subs are at. But then, especially if you're building Tigers, you can usually you have room for a special. And this is where you got to be really careful on a Tiger Shark, because sticks do the concussive damage and the corrosive, the DOT damage, and the Charins do all concussive. So I just sort of computed DPS, and I just use the numbers. Well, for concussive, I use the numbers right out of Huggies. For the dot, I had to add that in myself. But anyway, this is the damage per second.
This is okay. The DOT assumes max stack, right?
Yeah, so that's the other thing. So you got to think about that, and I talked about that in the gray box. But so sticks again, it's more DPS. I'm trying to think if I made an error here, which is why I'm kind of going slow here. I'm not sure I did the. Oh yeah, because it's 1 second reload at legendary. So the amount of damage it does is the damage per second. Yeah. Okay, so this is right. So you
But
can
it
see.
takes how many? You mind me a quick question? How many seconds does the sticks take to get to max damage?
So well, it depends on how many torpedoes are firing. So
Yeah.
if you have so your options are to increase your concussive damage with like strike warheads, give you 45%, or you can retrofit them and get them even above that. Stealth attack system 4 or concussive warheads will give you 33% bonus. So I looked at some of those cases, right? So strike warheads on a Charin gives you that nice damage bonus. On a Styx, it's actually kind of a mild damage bonus from strike warheads because you're only upping your concussive damage, you're not upping your DOT damage. And then if you do interception system, it gives you an extra 3x charge, and you already get 3x charge on the Styx, so it actually doubles your dot damage. So it hits really hard with interception system. This is actually what I use on my Tigers. I use Styx with interception system.
And the other beauty of that is of the interception system is the 20% combat speed boost.
Yep, I love fast ships.
Mm.
So, but you do end up topping out your dot damage. So, in my case, I've got 7 sticks per Tiger Shark, so I've got 28 torpedoes in my fleet, and then with interception system, I top out at 50 hits, and so really my second salvo, if they're all hitting, or maybe my third if they're not, and I'm firing one every 1 second, I'm topping out my dot damage. So then all they do is the concussive. Now I still think they do a lot of damage, but if you think you're going to be in this kind of a situation, it might even be best to sort of mix sticks and Charins. It's a lot to. I'll just say it's a lot to try and figure out, especially because it's variable with your accuracy and evade your target. If you have If they're
And also,
evading, then your dot builds up less, and so you're less likely to top out your dot damage.
I think with the what we saw in the 123 target is that you're also going to want to get away from that target before it blows up.
Yep.
And so the increased damage over time is going to be way more beneficial than doing the initial boom, 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 initial concussive damage that the Sharon does or the Styx does once it maxes out. Because I mean, the way I see it doing is you try to max out your damage over time, and then you go run, let them chase you a little bit, then you do your damage over time, and then you come back.
Yeah, yeah, and what you find when you really get some experience with the subs and with the target is you just know, as soon as that second volley or maybe the third volley is fired, you know that target's dead, even though it's not dead yet. You know it's going to be dead, and so you can turn and run right as soon as that volley is fired, and it does let you get farther away.
Yeah, because from what we know, the splash on the Reaver explosion, I forget what it's called, but the Reaver, once they blow up, is a 200 splash, which I think we talked about a little bit before. But 200 splash is huge, so
Yeah, 200
it has
splash,
very
1000 damage.
it has a very rapid drop off. It drops off to I think the
5%,
minimum
I think
splash
it
is
was.
5%.
Okay, yeah, so getting away really helps. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the further you get away, even if you get it, you don't need to get out completely out away from the 200 splash, but with that minimum splash of 5%, if you compare it to like like a mortar, like a D75S, where I think it's like 75% of the damage is done at the edge of that splash zone. This is only doing 5% currently. I mean, this could change
Yeah.
a zillion ways between now and when this is a raid target. But it seems like speed is a huge thing at this point.
Yep. Yep.
And speed combined with damage over time. So you do the damage, let the acid work on their hulls, and then you're far away by the time they blow up.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move on from the torpedoes. So, looks like we will be pulling the shards. This is my screw up, or my thought on Kixeye screw up, and we talked about this a little earlier. We will be pulling the shards from the Forsaken mission at the start of the next FM cycle in July. So maybe they meant like after the raid. Maybe they meant next week, not this week. But
I read it at the start of the next FM cycle.
so you
Yeah.
think
The end of July is
end
the
of
way I
Yeah.
read it.
All right, so maybe I'm being a little harsh calling this their screw up because I wanted it gone now, but
I put it as a breakthrough, and you moved it.
I moved it.
Yes, I thought it was a good thing.
I'll believe it when it happens.
Okay,
I was
whatever. It's
hoping
all
for it to
good.
happen. I want it to happen. I want it done. All right, so let's go to the next page because I thought Harlock and Harlot sounded really close, so I Google stuff and found this. So the Harlot of Hogwarts.
I don't know that you found this.
Well, maybe I edited a little. I spent some time with a picture of Harlock and getting his head the right size so it would fit on the shoulders.
Yes, it's very amusing. But I mean, Team Zoe out there, you guys got to defend me. This is the end of Larry's presentation of what Harlock is going to do for you. But I think last week Zoe's the team you guys need to vote for.
The question is not what Harlock's going to do for you. It's what is Harlock going to do to her?
Yes. It's also a big question. And I agree that's, something that everybody in the community should consider.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, so breakthrough this week. So the R&D thing, we've been bitching about the R&D thing for a while. When people get stuck, they've done all the prereqs, but they can't do the next R&D. Kickside claims they fixed it, but players that don't qualify for support because they haven't spent $50 still could get stuck and really don't have a way to get unstuck.
No. There, read it. Read it. That's why I put it as a breakthrough.
Unblock working, but see,
The team's working on a way to unblock all players affected. Oh, now you took it away from me. 1 second.
But no. See, look.
So
Look.
all currently affected. CS can handle individual cases, but players who do not qualify for premium support will be fixed by the team.
Okay, but that's see, that sounds like still a little bit in the future.
Well, I see a lot of people in the forums saying they got their blockage cleared.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe it's done. Maybe it's done.
I hope it is, but the reason I put it in the breakthrough was the last after the comma on the second sentence.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody ought to be fixed, and I don't know, fixing a screw up. This is more fixing a screw up than a breakthrough, but I'll give it to you.
Well, just the fact that it's been a screw up for what, over a month?
I think longer than that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get out of the slides here. Do we got anything good in chat? JugX up to 93% concussive defense. Yeah, the armor abilities with that D5 CT, that's kind of a cool idea. Let's see. If we already have a Nighthawk fleet, yeah, we talked about that a little bit. You might want to stick with that Nighthawk fleet or look at refitting it after the Foundry comes out and see what happens. Weight becomes a serious issue with the sticks. That's true. That's about it in chat. I got one other question. Is this new transformer any good? So this is the ATR transformer, which gives you reduced damage, reduced defense, but extra range. And my opinion is I want to put it on my glacial turret because I think the glacial is really hard to place to get good coverage of your channel. So that's what I want to do with it. I don't think it's good for much else. I don't know what you guys think about the ATR.
I haven't won it yet, but theoretically, remember at one point I wanted you to test how your 90 range citadels would deal with a corrosive turret with a explosive turret behind it. Basically, the basilisk with the
oh yeah.
cold snap behind it, and you're adding 10% to that 105. So you're adding 11.5 to that. You follow me?
Yeah, that might. Yeah. Although now I think I'd use my Vendetta.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. If you would use your Vendetta, then you're messed up because your Vendetta is trying to take out my corrosive, but behind it, that 105 is getting added 10.5 onto it. So now you're going to get hit by the explosive damage from a frostbite.
Yeah. Okay.
Or cold snap or whatever it is.
Frostbite. That's the one.
Yeah. And so therefore you're taking full damage. You don't have any sort of resistances to that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and then Bama Man mentioned that it's good for the cold snap too, and yeah, I agree with that. You can put the ATR in the cold snap and get more range for that field suppression. So yeah, so it's so anyway, that ATR, I think it has some specialized uses. I wouldn't put it everywhere, but yeah, it's got some use, I think. I've got my level 7 on my glacial finishing tomorrow, and the ATR is going on then. So everybody in 476 better hit me before that.
Yeah, I'm getting my first executioner finished tonight.
Finally.
Yeah, because last time they were released, what were they? They were crap. I mean,
Yeah, now you need them.
personally, I mean, because one of the problems I've been having with the game is that I like to look at the prizes and evaluate them, and then they change them 4 times before they're offered again. I mean, the worst example of that is the Revenge. I mean, how many times? Well, the Revenge, the Apollo. They've changed all these halls. You can't. You can no longer look at something and say, "This is the way it's going to work in the future. This is something I want to buy, so to speak, or invest my time." It's not really the way the game works anymore, and that's sort of the way I always looked at it. As far as, is this something that I want to spend my time on? But the stats keep on changing, and it's you know it's difficult
Yeah.
to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. That yeah. Yeah. I don't
And,
know. I don't know. Tito, you got any thoughts on this?
No, actually, no.
Okay. But yeah,
I you have between both you have covered it also. Just to repeat words, I think it's not.
all right. All right. All right. Anything else we want to talk about tonight? We can cut it off right about an hour. Anything?
No, let's see if the chat has something.
The what? The Sharks?
If the chat has something else to say, but seems not.
Yeah. Well, chat will take a minute or so to catch up, but
Yeah, but the day was very. It was nearly nothing. Just that they missed that blueprint from the tier 5 because in the data miner it was already there. The day 5 of the conclusive defense one. So actually, I think that the update this week was quite cheap.
oh, the build time on that? Yeah, I should check that. Let's
The
see.
build time is 21 hours, something around that. It's likely the D5R.
Yeah, well, it's 1 day nominal, which is the same. Well, no, evade's a little shorter. So some D5s are 1 day 22, and then the D5 CT is 1 day even.
And what's the check the D5E?
D5E in Huggies says 23 hours 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So it's another reduced one.
Yeah, so you know what? That is, I'll say, the D5 CT is the quickest way to get some deflection. The shortest armor build that has deflection built in. Because all the other ones with deflection built in are the 1 day 22 with C and the X. Yeah, those are all 1 day 22 hours. So if you want that little bit of deflection, CT's the quickest way to get it.
But you wouldn't recommend that.
Just for the deflection? No, I probably wouldn't.
No. I mean, that's
But
a huge amount of armor, a huge amount of repair time just for just a little.
20 deflection, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd probably rather have, resistance. Like if you're doing mines or something, you stick with the R and the C.
Oh, that's one thing I've been thinking about. I mean, I've been screwing around, hitting 60 mines, just for base parts.
Mhm.
And then my Crusaders are now R4 or whatnot, and I have them with like ballistic defense and then radioactive defense, and I'm not really that good personally, unless somebody else is. I love just running my Punishers on auto instead of dealing with those. Unless you have better luck than I have.
So what I've been doing in mines lately is I've been using my Crusaders just
Yeah,
because now I use my Punishers for dubs and the Forsaken mission, and so I don't want to get those dinged up. And so just when I feel like it, I can run Crusaders and into 60s for base parts. And what I
yeah, but
do,
above 60 though, what happens? Have you ever
oh,
run them into a 70
oh,
or
they
a
get their
80
ass
or
kicked.
90?
Yeah, they get their ass kicked. But so what I do is I don't quite auto them. What I do is I start it and then I set a path where one goes around one side and one goes around another side, and then don't have to, I can go do something else and then they kill it. Just one in each direction. But yeah, 70s they probably get pretty shot up. I don't know.
No, but I can send my Punishers into a 60 and it's instant repair and I out on auto.
Hmm. Instant.
You know,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, on 60s, but yeah, on 70s they take a lot of damage. But I'm just trying to figure out if there's a good path for people that have the Crusaders as their option. They don't have the Punisher as an option.
Yeah, I've been thinking I maybe need to do some build tweaks on those Crusaders, but it's not really a high priority um, because I'd rather do other stuff like finish my Vendettas or.
No,
Well, actually, with the
no,
Crusaders, you can do even the 90s if you have them well refit and alive. But after you pass 60, the damage is increasing highly. So I don't know if it's the good point, or is it better just that you finish your Punisher fleet or wait for August and get it and just refill base pass with doing 60s.
Yeah.
It's I don't have them ranked at the moment, and I just use 3. I never finished the 4 because I started the Apollos, but I think it's about 30 minutes damage time, and I think they are between 12 and 13 rank, and they have no armor on them.
Yeah. I mean, I even thought about just taking. I mean, right now they have like E and Bulkhead, and they have like D5X, and I was thinking about doing that. There's that alloy that's specifically for the ballistic and radioactive.
CL3.
The
Yeah.
CL, that's one I would like to see back in the Forsaken mission at some point, because I missed that one
Okay.
as well. But I missed 17 months, so I missed a lot of things.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, just had a couple more comments on the. I think on the ATR, they like it for the. Well, someone likes it for the Drax scatter. I don't know if I'd want to take the damage reduction on the Drax scatter, but I guess it's an option. And then good for stuff with secondaries like the Wendigo. Yeah, I agree. You could put on the Wendigo. You could put on the Cold Snap, as well as the Glacial. So. All right, gentlemen, you want to call this a show and let everyone know have a great evening. Thanks for watching.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, have a great evening. Thanks for watching, and stay piratey, and uh, you know, go Harlock.
Team Zoe. Team
I'm
Zoe's way
sorry,
ahead.
but
All
Boy
right.
was most impressive. I have to say that. I could read all your slides this week, but I couldn't finish the third ones. We got to let him finish them.
All right. All right. Well, yeah, Zoe. I'll just say it. Zoe is hotter. All right. Night, everybody.
Good night, sir.
Good night, everybody.